Good morning and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. Of course, we are here live ahead of another huge, important, very variable deadline for this week. Obviously, it is the Game Week 23 deadline. The deadline is actually all the way at 11 o'clock. However, I do have you covered pretty much for the next 2 hours, helping you with your teams, answering your guys' questions as well. So do get them in if you've got any questions about your teams. Of course, as always, team reviews will be over on the Discord, and that's where they're always going to be from now on. So yeah, they'll be over on the Discord as usual. If you've been in obviously one of the recent streams, I will put the link to the Discord in there if you want your team rating for this week. Of course, we've got a poll as well going around. Who's the best captain for this week? Let me know in the comments. We'll probably do some more polls today, asking whether or not you're going to sell Phil Foden, stuff like that. And yeah, just get your comments in. Let's try and help as many people out. I'm just going to put the pin thing here so you guys can get to the Discord. But other than that, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is having a good Saturday morning. And hopefully, we're going to get a green arrow this week. Well, that's at least the aim, isn't it? Obviously, we'll run through my transfers that I've made so far this week, and of course, run through how my team got on last week as well. There is the pinned comment for the Discord if you want to get yourself signed up for team reviews. But yes, the big thing is we got a green arrow last week. We went from 82k to 78k, so a very, very small green arrow, but nevertheless, a green arrow. So you take those every single day of the week, especially given how poorly the Saturday went for us. We've already made one move, and it's a bit of a controversial one, and I think it's one that maybe a few managers have already pulled the trigger on and might potentially be looking to pull the trigger on today. I've taken out Phil Foden, and I've brought in Bruno Fernandes. Look, I know the fixture for Bruno this week isn't ideal. However, longer term, he is a player that I realistically don't see myself selling till maybe the wild card, and he potentially helps me afford some double game week players. But until that point, I really want Bruno Fernandes. He's got one of the best points per game in the league. My model absolutely loves him. A lot of other models also love him, like Review, Solio. And again, I've had him, since the start of the season where I was just like, this guy is honestly insane and one of the best players for, value, multiple routes to points. Even, tomorrow when he plays against Arsenal, I still feel he could probably come away with some points. He might just hit DEFCON, maybe get a clean sheet, and that might be enough to wiggle a bit of bonus points out of him. You could also probably maybe see him getting a little bit of a jammy assist, something like that. So I don't hate it. I don't have to worry about his minutes either because everybody is panicking about Phil Foden. What to do? Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? The minutes. I think what I've done is just given myself a little bit of an easier life for the next few weeks as well. Is I don't have to worry about some player being benched. I can just go, well, I know Bruno's going to play. They've got no other competitions to worry about. He is just going to be playing in the Premier League every single week, week in, week out. So I think what I've done there is just save myself a headache. Now, the problem is Foden has got Wolves today, right? That is the big problem. And Wolves aren't a bad side. Like, they are a bad side. Even though, their data has improved in the past few weeks, they're still a very attractive and targetable fixture. However, they are third for XG conceded over the past 5 game weeks. They're also third for big chances conceded. So, they've really tightened up that defense. And Foden's just been crap. His on-field performances as well have just been dusty. There hasn't been anything good that he's done in the past few weeks where I've been like, oh yeah, there's still potential in here. There's still, double-digit haul material. I'm saying all this. He's definitely going to do it now that I've sold him, and a lot of other managers are probably in the same boat. But that is where I am at with Phil Foden. Like I said, I've sold him. I had to do it last night. Otherwise, I would have been priced out. It looked at some points as well that Foden was potentially going to be dropping as well. So it would have been a 0.2 swing that potentially would have happened. So, yeah, not great, not ideal, but we're here. We've done the Bruno move. Let's see what's kicking off in the chat already. Tino Fantasy Wizard, I absolutely love that name, says, good morning. Shall I play Rodgers or Krupi Jr.? I would go with Rodgers on that one, my friend. I have 2 free transfers. Out Keane and Nunes to Chalobah and Alderente, or play Nunes with Rodon off the bench. Nunes isn't going to play. He has a virus and Pepper's confirmed that. So he's definitely not going to play. So yeah, I probably would do the 2 moves. But if you've got like Rodon, you don't have to do them both, right? If you could afford Nunes straight for Chalobah, I think that probably would be the move. Hi Tom, does O'Reilly start today? Bench Alderente or O'Reilly? I reckon there's probably maybe a 75% chance that he plays. Yeah, I reckon there's a 75% chance that he plays today. Does Bruno G play today? I don't think he does. Number one, because Newcastle play tomorrow. But I also do believe that yeah, I personally just don't believe that he plays. No. I mean, the quote from Eddie Howe yesterday was a bit sketchy, so I'm gonna say he does not play. Yeah, I'm gonna go he doesn't play. So yeah. Chow or Chalobah? Chalobah, 100%. Is a bench boost good for my team this week? Bench is Raya, Alderente, Sharda, Kuzanov. Oh, it's a fine bench boost, but I personally would not be looking to bench boost this week. I think there are better weeks to bench boost. We're going to get double game weeks, and if you're on the wildcard 32 strategy, then you will have the ability to see what teams are going to bench, double in 33 or 36. That is where I personally would be looking to use it. No worries, mate. That's what we're here for. Answer as many of your guys' questions as possible. Make sure you're hitting that like button as always, guys. Any questions you do have, make sure you are hitting the like button. Really is appreciated. Are there any updates on Bruno G playing? There is nothing. The quote we got from Eddie Howe yesterday was fairly innocuous, I would say, but I think it gave me enough context to probably suggest he's not going to play, is how I would read it. Hi Tom, from California, very nice. Need to bench one of Foden, Cherky, Mukulele, Hall. I have 2 free transfers and 2.3 million in the bank. Planning on rolling. I think Foden's got a bigger probability of playing ahead of Cherky, so Cherky probably would be the one that I would bench there. Good morning, Tom. I did an early transfer out, Saka to Bruno. Happy with that, but still have O'Reilly with 1 free. What do you think of O'Reilly to Timber to give me free Arsenal or just roll? I think you could maybe roll and maybe look to do that move next week. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I really don't hate that. So I think I maybe would leave it. But if O'Reilly is benched, have you got cover? Is my next question. Because if you've not got cover, then yeah, make the move. Sanchez or Roofs just for this week. I believe Chelsea might have the higher percentage clean sheet opportunities. Let's have a look here. Is it this one? I hope it's this one. Yeah, it is. Here we go. Where are Chelsea? Chelsea are at 29. Sunderland are at 28. I think I'd probably just about go Sanchez, but 1% in it is extremely tight for this game week, isn't it? What a great name. We've got some absolutely cracking names in the chat today. FPL Maxim Flux says Mateus Cunha or Chris Richards. I think Cunha could be on the bench again, so I would be tempted to play Chris Richards. The least you could probably get out of him is DEFCON. He's very good at hitting defensive contributions. So it could be a 3 or 4 pointer if Chelsea don't really go to town on them. And I do think creatively they have looked a little bit worse under the new manager. So yeah, I would be tempted to go with Richards there just because of the uncertainty around Cunha and his minutes, personally, for me anyway. That's how I would see it. Start Gahey or Wirtz. I would actually be tempted to go Gahey. Pep said he's going to make his debut, so I think he should definitely play this game. Yeah, no doubt in my mind he probably should play this game. That would be an easy one. Yeah, he'll definitely play. Easy. Hey Tom, how are you doing? I'm doing all right, mate. I'm not doing too bad. I can't lie. Yeah. I'm doing pretty good. I can't lie. Start Senesi or Cunha. Ooh. I think just again, with the doubts around Cunha, I still probably would be tempted to do the other one. Yeah, I still probably would be tempted to do the other one. Is Pickford the best keeper, set and forget, because he performs so consistently? I believe so. Like, he's probably going to end up being top goals, like the top point scoring goalkeeper in the game. It's just going to happen. Morning, Tom. What's your plans for this weekend? If you mean FPL, I've already made one move. It was taking out Foden to Bruno. Sorry. If you're talking about life, it is probably, well, be going to the gym after this, and then yeah, kind of just chilling out, to be honest, after that. Yeah, no other real big plans. What about you, mate? What people plans they've got for this weekend? Anderson or Wilson? I think if it's the Forest Anderson, I would be tempted to play him ahead of Wilson. Strongly considering captaining Semenyo this week, vice on Bruno. Like, if you've got doubts and we get maybe some news on Haaland, I don't hate that as a move. I really don't. Krupi Jr. or Watkins to play. I think Watkins has the better fixture this week. To buy, I would prefer to go for Krupi Jr. Watkins, again, they're about to sign Tammy Abraham, so longer term, I do worry about his minutes. Morning, mate. Will we get Haaland team news? I think just because of the demand, I imagine the leakers will try and find anything. But it probably will be a little bit later that we get that news. But yeah, I reckon we probably might get something. Enzo and Buemo, Walter Marder, Rogers. Which two to start? Enzo for me. And then that's a toughie, isn't it? That is a real toughie. I mean, this is the thing. Mbeumo could be playing as the 9, but Arsenal are a very good defense, so it could very easily be a blank. So I would be tempted to maybe go Enzo and Rogers. But I think Mbeumo and Rogers is extremely close between the two. I think if it wasn't Arsenal and Mbeumo was be playing, he would get the nod ahead of it. Would you start Cherky or Cunha? Both. May not start. It's so frustrating. Yeah, I can understand that. Who have you got as your potential other players to come in? Let me know. Who do I start? The Bravka or the Bergen? I think both of their clean sheet odds are pretty similar this week, right? Let's have a look. So we've got Burnley with 23, Brighton with 24. Like, there's very minimal in that. I think potentially I'd be tempted to go with the Bravka. I could just see more saves out of him. Yeah, I could genuinely just see more saves out of him. So I probably would go the Bravka, but that is a really tough 50-50 call. And yeah, whichever way you go, you're probably going to be, a little bit of devil's advocate on that one. What other questions have we got in the chat? Bruno G to Bruno F or save till next week? I think you could do it this week. I really do. Sent my team in. Cool. Thank you. We're going to have a look at that in a second. Thank you, Ben. Should I go double up on Gabriel and Timber, or do I go Chow and Gabriel? I think Chow and Gabriel would be fine for this week. But if you're talking in terms of transfers, then yeah, longer term, I would probably want double Arsenal defense as well. Cherky or Cunha, bench one. I think Cherky's I probably would start Cherky just given the fixture. So probably would bench Cunha. Haaland possible benching today. Yeah, it is something that very easily could happen. So we're going to try and keep you across any team news that we do get in. Obviously, anything that I do get in, I will let you guys know. I'm not going to withhold information or make you pay for the information. I'm not a dick. So anything I get, I'll let you know. Hall or Anderson? I'd be tempted to go Hall on that one. Right, we've had a team review sent in, so let's go and have a look at this. Now, if you don't know, team reviews are now over in my Discord, so if you want to come over there and get your team rated by me, this is the place to come and do it now. So, yeah, here we are in our Discord. Thank you, Ben, for sending in your team. Really, really do appreciate it. And obviously, if you're a fan of Golden Goal Fantasy Football as well, this is our joint Discord server, so he's got his section here as well. So, yeah, you can get your team rated by two, YouTubers and kind of have probably a different opinion. Ben has sent in his team, though. He's got one free transfer and 0.1 million in the bank. 0.1 was that or 0.4? 0.4, sorry, in the bank. Oh, he's already got triple Chelsea. That is that is a shame, actually, because I think if he didn't have triple Chelsea, I think I would have probably suggested doing Canate to Chalobah. But because you've got double Chelsea, I think that probably rules that move out a little bit. So that's a little bit of a bummer. So I think it's fine. You could just play Anderson ahead of Canate. I don't think Canate is going to play. If you didn't see the news, he lost his dad, so I don't think he'll probably be playing. So I think you could maybe roll. I think you could definitely just chuck Canate in ahead of Anderson and roll for now. If we get news around Palmer and we get news potentially around Haaland, then that is maybe where the plans change a little bit and maybe a move has to be made and dropping Canate completely out for another defender. But I think for now, yeah, I probably would do and just put Anderson in ahead of Canate and roll. Take 2 into next week. See what the landscape's looking like a little bit. I think that is probably going to be the play. And I think you've just put in the chat, I'm thinking about doing Bruno to Gordon next week. Gordon to Bruno, sorry, next week as well. And then Thiago to Krupi and Canate to a 3.9. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate that. Yeah, I don't hate that, mate. I think that is probably a decent play. So yeah, I like I said, unless we get any other sort of team news, I personally would, yeah, maybe look at rolling. I think that's decent. Like I said, guys, if you do want to get your team rated, make sure you are heading over to the FPL Cartel Discord. This is, like I said, where all team reviews are going to be now. We've also got, plenty going off in there. Our last man standing competition also starts today. So make sure you are getting yourself over in the Discord as well. If you win, of course, our last man standing competition, you get 2 free months to the FPL Cartel Discord. So, pretty decent prize. You could get your team rated for free for 2 weeks. So not a bad offer that either. Also as well, there is my predicted points model. I've been sharing this over on socials this week. Of course, if you want to go and check it out for yourself, this is obviously the tweet with obviously the top 10 projections for the next 5 and of course game week 23. Go and check it out over on my socials for now. But of course, if you want access to the full model, it is also available in the Discord. So if it does really well this week, then yeah, I'm going to be spamming that. Let me put it in the chat for you, mate. There you go. There is the link to the Discord if people want to get themselves involved in that one. Let's head back then to my team. Let's bring that up quickly. There we go. And let's start firing away with some questions in the chat. Are Haaland and Palmer both genuine doubts? I think Palmer's more than fine, but, him still being Palmer and missing out midweek, there is always still that doubt. Haaland, I have seen some suggestions that he might not play. I think he personally will, just because they just need it. They just need it. Should I start Bruno G or O'Reilly? I personally would go O'Reilly. Which 4 to start? Anderson, Chalobah, Mukiele, Gabriel, and Chow. I personally would go Chalobah, Mukiele, Gabriel, and probably Anderson would be there. But I think Chow does run him extremely close this week. Please your thoughts on my defense. Who to start? Timber, O'Reilly, Rodon, Dorgus, and Essie. Timber, O'Reilly, Rodon would probably be the 3 that I would go with. I captain Thiago. I think that's a fair shout. I do think that's not a bad shout for this week. Yeah, Palmer is still injured, so yeah. Do I think Gahey will start? Yeah, I think given Pep's comments about him saying he's going to make his debut and their pretty poor defensive performance in midweek, I'm fairly certain that Gahey just slides straight into that side, to be honest. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. Should I buy Palmer if he's fit to play? I personally am still going to probably avoid Cole Palmer unless he goes off this week and, he really becomes a desirable asset. But Chelsea have got a massive fixture midweek to get themselves into that top 8 for Champions League football. If they don't, they're probably going to need Palmer for that one. Then the fixtures over the next few are fairly easy. And you do see them going, well, maybe we could rotate him there and definitely play him instead in, the Carabao semi-final, which is a huge game, or the Champions League game, which is a huge game. Those might be the ones that he potentially goes for. So it could be an early substitution today, then maybe some benching. Because, like Jamie said, he's not fully fit. He needs that surgery in the summer, really, doesn't he, to be honest? So, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Should I start Palmer or Bruno F? Bruno Fernandes, is going to play. Palmer there's still some doubts, but I would personally play both of them. Like if I've got both of those for selection this week, they get both in my team. I'm so drawn to Bruno captain, but I have it on Semenyo since I have double Arsenal defence and rights. That makes complete sense. And I think Semenyo is a really nice shout for this week. I think he's third on my list for this week in terms of predicted points, so not a bad option. Is Bowen a good pick against Sunderland? My model absolutely loves and adores Jared Bowen for some reason, but his points per game aren't even terrible. I think he's averaging around like 4 points per game, which for a forward this season is really, really not bad at all. So yeah, I really don't mind it. And I'm gonna put some people in to mute just because you spamming, and I like, come on, like, just I'll get round to your question. Just ask it nicely. You don't have to spam it in twice. All right, there we go. Start three of Alderente, Anderson, Chalobah, and O'Reilly. I would personally go Chalobah, O'Reilly, and Alderente would be my three. Should I start O'Reilly? Yeah, I think there's still a decent chance he plays today. I think some of the predictions had him at like 75% probability of playing. The clean sheet numbers are fantastic. So, yeah, you know, it could be one of those where he maybe kicks you in the teeth again like he did last week. But I think maybe given some of the injuries that City have got, he still maybe lines up in there, doesn't he? Start three, Gabriel, Hall, Alderente, Richards. I would go Gabriel, Alderente, and Hall for me. Should I start Chalobah or Muklele? I would personally go with Chalobah. Should I sell Enzo to Sharda? No. I have Semenyo, Enzo, Rogers, Rice, Saka. Who should I transfer out for Bruno? I'm guessing I personally would probably either look at Rogers or Saka, to be honest. Thoughts on Tarkowski, captain ahead of Haaland? Hey, look, Tarkowski's an absolute beast for points as well. And I do think we probably maybe should start looking at defenders because their points per game have been incredible. Like Gabriel is now matching Haaland for points per game, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, we definitely really do need to start considering them, don't we? If Haaland gets benched, Bruno seems a great captain shout. Manchester United bias. I think there are probably shouts ahead of him this week. I like Gabriel. I like Thiago. I think maybe if you've got a Semenyo, you're in a luxury position where you could maybe look at him as well as an option. So I do think, you know, there are some very good options in there. Obviously, like I said, guys, if you are enjoying today's stream, make sure you hit that like button. It is always appreciated. Let's see if we can try and get to 50 likes nice and early this morning. We're on 19 at the moment. So, yeah, if we could get to 50, that would be great to see. Obviously, as well, if you want to get yourself in the FPL Cartel Discord, this is where all team reviews are going to be. You get full access to my model. There's competitions. There's our exclusive, you know, all sorts in there. So, yeah. Should I buy Ndiaye this week? I really like Ndiaye. My model absolutely loves Ndiaye as well. So I think he could be a good shout. The concern I do have is he only got back to Everton training yesterday, but the game's on Monday, so it's still plenty of time for him to be back fit and available. They haven't got any other competitions, so no midweek football. So yeah, I do like Ndiaye. His penalties, his points per game are decent. He hits defensive contributions as well. He is a nice, decent asset for 6.2 million. I think Sharda's a good option for this week. Longer term, the fixtures aren't quite there for me personally with Brentford, so I don't think longer term I probably would go for it. Alderente, Chow, or Anderson. Start one of these. Alderente for me. I just think Sunderland are probably going to score. They're going to score a set piece goal, and I do honestly believe that they should keep a clean sheet. They should anyway. How do I get my team reviewed? If you want to get your team reviewed, join our Discord. And there is literally a section that says deadline team reviews. Whack your team in there, and that is it. Boom, done. Buying Semenyo, and then next week, Bruno F. Do you agree? It does seem quite a luxury move to buy Semenyo. But if you've got maybe the transfers banked in and your team's in a pretty decent place, I don't mind it. Garner's a good option. The thing with Garner is, right, he is a good option. There's still no taking away from that. His defensive contribution numbers haven't shifted. He'll still be able to hit them. The problem I've got with him is now we're going to have Kieran Dewsbury Hall back, and he will start to take some set piece share away from him. So, it's not like we're going to definitely see a drop off in terms of his points or whatever, because he'll still be doing great with DEF CON and whatever. But we will see a decline in his ability to get points from set pieces. So you are closing down a route to his points, an avenue to his points with Dewsbury Hall being back. So that's the only concern I have around Garner right now. But he still should hit defensive contribution, so still will be a very, very steady Eddie as well. 5-4-1, a good formation with Haaland up top. I don't hate it. Like, if I was on a wild card this week, I would be very tempted to go with a 4-5-1 or a 4-5-1. So yeah. How does 29 DEFCON not lead to any bonus? Yeah, that is a good question, to be fair. But you've also got to look at what DEFCON is. Like, some of it is just clearances, isn't it? So he could just be booting the ball out 29 times. Like, are you really going to reward a player for just lumping it away? Probably not. Best mid, sub 8.3 million. Already have the likes of Enzo and Rogers. I think Ndai, Rice, these are some of my guys that I personally would be looking to go for. An underrated one that I think could become popular over the next few weeks is Pascal Gross. Has hit 9 defensive contributions in all of his games so far, has immediately gone back on all of the set pieces as well. You think as well with Welbeck missing that last penalty, probably puts him back on penalties. So you could have a penalty taker there that has the potential or is very close to hitting defensive contributions, has set piece share at 5.5 million. I do really like the look of Pascal Gross. Chewy, hope you're doing good, man. Did you go for the Ndai move in the end? I saw you was debating it on X earlier yesterday, so let me know if you decided to go for that one anyway. Own Declan Rice, debating between Semenyo and Ndai. I think Ndai is probably the easier long-term justification hold. Like, you could very easily just hold Ndai because there's no real risk of him being rotated or benched or whatever after this week for me personally, as long as he's fit and available. So yeah, that's the other way I see it. Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I think Pascal Gross, if he goes off at some point, everybody's eyes will all of a sudden just dart to Pascal Gross. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it, to be honest, is I do think there is probably maybe one big haul in there for Pascal Gross and everyone starts speaking about him again. But yeah, the minutes have been pretty decent. If he hits defensive contributions at any point, then I think, that opens that up as a point. Set piece share. If he takes the next penalty, could be big. Could be big. Nice. I'm glad you went for it, mate. I'm glad you went for it. People asking me about the Sunderland striker. I personally would not be looking to invest in any strikers this week. There are no strikers that I would be absolutely suggesting people to go and buy this week. There is none. So yeah, I'm gonna go with none. Is Dubravka, Anderson, Dorgu a legit bench boost? You might as well wait. We're going to get double game weeks. That is probably a more optimal week to play the bench boost, in my opinion. Real ones know the Gross versus March versus Matoma versus McAllister. Oh, what a time to be alive that was. That was a great time. That a few seasons ago was great. Was great. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on it. Like, obviously, if he's new to the Premier League and stuff like that, I personally would maybe just stay clear for now. That's personally probably how I would do it. Please don't spam in the chat or you will be ejected. All right. Start O'Reilly and Gahey. I personally would, yeah. I think, if they're both going to play, it could be a fantastic option. Thank you for kicking him out of there, Jamie. Like I said, guys, please don't spam. We will try and get round to as many people's questions as possible today. And yeah, you don't need to spam. Hey, Tom, which was the first FPL season you played? Good question. I played like fantasy football for a while. I used to play it with my dad as a kid a lot. Like getting the newspaper in the sun and you could like just smell it, and like I can still smell that like of flicking through the pages, looking at the players. So I've played it a while. But yeah, I think my first proper FPL season was 2018-19 when I went to university. That was the first year that I played FPL. We had it in like our uni, everyone in the flat played it. So yeah, that's where I first got into it. And then it was like around third year, I had a pretty decent year, and we started looking at, YouTubers and stuff. And then by the time I finished uni the year after, I had created my own channel. So yeah, there we go. There's the story. Oh mate, that March goal that never happened it still lives rent free in my head as a March owner. It really does. Bench one. I think if you're uncertain on O'Reilly, bench him because you've got Gahey to cover that clean sheet. Is how I probably would look at it. Hi Tom, Enzo, Garner, Anderson, Saka, Foden. Any tips? I think that is a completely fine midfield to roll this week. Like you very easily could roll it if you're uncertain on Foden. Then yeah, probably probably would maybe look elsewhere, but yeah, see what happens. Start Chow or VD Virgil Van der Ven. Oh, I'd probably go Van der Ven. Oh, very nice. Thank you, man. Appreciate the kind comment. Glad you could be here. Really do appreciate it. Yeah. I went to a university called UCFB. If anybody doesn't know what it is, it's like just a football university. So, yeah, that's where I went. It was in Manchester. It was a bit shit, but it got me where I am, so I don't care. And Dye or Wilson for the cheap mid, and Dye Wilson. There's like murmurs that apparently, his contract's up in the summer, so maybe Fulham might potentially look at pulling the trigger and potentially getting, some other moves elsewhere. But also you've got players returning from AFCON, so there's maybe going to be a little bit more competition for places and stuff like that. So you never know. You never know. Like I said, guys, if you do want your team rating by me, the best place to come and do that is, of course, over in the FPL Cartel. That is now where we do all of our team reviews. We've got dedicated sections. We've got, obviously, my model as well, where you've got full access to that to have a play around with, look at your team, look at all your players. You've also got the Last Man Standing competition, which starts today. So if you get yourself in there, there's the potential to win 2 free months of obviously the FPL Cartel. Mini league prizes as well for each month. So there's plenty going off. There's a really good group in there as well. So, yeah, get yourself in there. Hello, Mr. Beast. Hope you're doing good, mate. Hope you're doing good. Hi, Tom. Alderente, Mook for me. Hi, Tom. Start Virgil van Dijk or Alderente. Ooh, I wouldn't mind playing Verge this week. So I probably would go Verge. Should I get Bruno Fernandes to sub out Gravenberch and Foden to meet Fernandez's budget? I don't really like both of those players going forward. And if you are in the camp that you believe that Foden could be benched today, or we get a leak that Foden is benched today, I don't mind both of those moves. When am I wildcarding? I will be wildcarding in game week. When will I be wildcarding? I'll be wildcarding in game week 32. The other week I could potentially see it is maybe looking at game week 24. Those are the 2 weeks realistically where I could see it happening. No, it's not an X group chat. It is a Discord group chat. If you want to come and sign up for it, there's the link. There you go. That is the link for that. Obviously, if you're enjoying today's stream, guys, like I said, make sure you are hitting that like button. It is appreciated. Tom, should I sell Saka for Bruno next week? Not a bad option. Not a bad option. But if Saka gets a rest in the Champions League, it then means he's probably very likely, I would say, to start against Leeds. But if it's the only route to Bruno Fernandes, I don't hate it because, like I said, longer term, I would prefer Bruno. But obviously, if Arsenal get that double in 26, that's where I would be. Kevin Schade or Neto is neither an option. I think there are plenty of better midfielders to select as a long-term option. The problem with Schade is the fixtures just aren't there for Brentford over the next few. Once you get this Forest game out of the way, they're just not there. They're really, really not there. So, Yeah, that's personally how I would look at it. Thoughts on captaining Bruno Fernandes over Haaland? I think there are probably better options this week. Gabriel, Thiago, probably more clear and leading options. If you've got Semenyo, probably a better pick as well. Tarkowski or Chow for this game week? Tarkowski. Bruno G to Ndai. Don't hate it. Yeah. Bruno G to Enzo. Yeah. Again, don't hate it. Go for it. Is Bruno to Bruno worth a -4? I personally would say not this week. Just wait till next week if you've got the ability just to wait till next week. I personally would wait till next week. Hi mate, bring in Saliba and transfer out Chow or Keane. I probably would be more tempted to take out Keane given the fact that Branthwaite is now back training. So yeah, that's probably where I would go with that one. Yeah, I think Chalobah's a great replacement. I don't mind that move. Yeah, I don't mind that move you suggested there, mate. Nice haircut. Cheers, bro. Got the cheeky little mullet going off at the moment. I'm trying to like speak, but yeah, there you go. Look. Sick in it. Yeah, I don't mind Enzo and Bruno for Gravenberch and Foden. That makes sense to me. Again, though, like this is the thing. If people are selling Foden this week, I don't hate it. Like I really, really don't hate it. It's one of those, isn't it? Where he could do well, but at the same time, yeah, it could be one of those. Start one of Rogers, Virgil, Anderson. I'd be tempted with Verge, you know. I would actually be tempted with Verge. Other than that, probably Anderson, like, is just a steady Eddie. You know, you could wheel him out and there's 4 points. He's probably got the best floor out of everybody there. So if you're looking for a decent floor, then yeah, Anderson's probably the one. Best Foden replacement, I think Rice, Enzo, Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo if you're in a luxurious position, and Dye. They're all very good picks for me personally. Yeah, some people have been saying at work that I look like a rugby league player. So if anybody lives in the UK, like rugby league's basically just a sport that is played across the M62 and parts of France for some reason. But yeah, the mullet, the mustache, I do just look like I'm an Australian that's come over and is now playing rugby league. That's what people have been saying at work. So yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Should I bench Elliot Anderson or Joachim Anderson? That's a toughie. That is a real toughie. Um, I mean, Elliot Anderson could be on penalties. Gibbs White missed another one in midweek. So Elliot Anderson very easily could be, you know, yeah. Aussie rules, look, yeah. Yeah. Because Aussie rules is very much similar to rugby league, isn't it? Right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But yeah, I do look like I play Aussie rules. Captain Haaland or Ekitike. Haaland can play 15, 20 minutes from the bench. I think, look, you go Haaland until we get any other sort of news that Haaland isn't going to be featuring. That's personally how I'm seeing it. If I find out that we've got any sort of indication that Haaland is going to be benched, I am personally shifting my captaincy to Gabriel. If Haaland's going to play, I still think he's a very fine option. You know, the projected goal numbers are there. I know Haaland's obviously been disappointing in recent weeks, only one return in his past 5 game weeks. However, I still believe he's a great captaincy option for this week. And I think that effective ownership as well will probably be enough. But like I said, we'll wait and see. We might get some sort of team news. And a good place, of course, to see any of the team news is, of course, going to be in the FPL cartel. If we get anything, we will let you know in there as literally as quick as possible, as soon as obviously the stream does finish. I've also had there's a guy who plays for Mansfield who's got a mullet and a mustache as well. I've also been called Aaron Lewis, so there's another one for you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Aussie rules is the same as rugby league, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm gonna quickly Google it so I don't look like a knob, but I'm pretty sure it is. Rugby league, same as Aussie rules. It looks like it according to the AI on here, so I guess they are. Yeah, I don't mind rugby league. It's this decent. It's not too bad. It's really, really not that bad. It's actually quite enjoyable. Cool. Start one, Van der Ven or Collins. Oh, I'd be more tempted to go with Collins. Yeah. Apparently, it's nothing like it. Google has lied. Other than the shape of the ball, they are not that much similar. Well, Google AI has just lied to me then because I asked if they are the same and it said yes, they are very similar. Is it the NRL then that's the same? I can't remember whatever theirs is called, but yeah. Yes, mate. I said that was a good move. So yeah, that's fine. Palmer will play Palace. I want to start him. Fair enough. Go with it. Aussie Rules is like a random mix of football, rugby, and Quidditch from Harry Potter. Brilliant. Rugby League is 13 aside and have 6 tackles before turnover, 4 points. I have entered a world where I don't know enough, do I? As you can tell, last year was the first year that I ever watched like rugby league. Yeah. I enjoyed it though. It was good fun. It was good fun. I didn't have a clue what was going on for most of the games, but we got there in the end. We got there in the end, didn't we? Obviously, if you're enjoying today's stream, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button. Like I said, it is always appreciated. Let's see if we can get this stream up to 50 likes. We're on 38 at the moment. Let's see if we can make it happen. Yeah, it would be greatly appreciated as well, as always. Obviously, any questions you do have, do let me know in the chat. Anything you want to know. Lol just came here from TikTok. Appreciate it, then, man. Appreciate it. TikTok is doing well this season, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, can't beat a bit of TikTok. Can't beat a bit of TikTok, can you? Who on God's green earth do I get in for Turkey? Rice, Bruno Fernandes, Enzo, and Dye. Pascal Gross, if you fancy a cheeky little differential one. They're all the ones I probably would personally go for. Hi, mate. Saliba, Timber, Rice, Bruno F, or João Pedro. Who are you bringing in? For me personally, it would be Bruno F or Rice are the top 2 that I would personally want to go for. The other ones are fine alternatives to that. João Pedro is definitely not a player I would personally be considering. I just think the minutes are too wild, too risky to even personally go there. Yeah, that's personally how I see it anyway. Everton could be arguably Everton could be worse, but also Ndai's XGI numbers when he plays on the left absolutely blow out when he's on the right. By the way, so that would be the other thing that I would be considering is his numbers on the right are just far superior than when he plays on the left. So yeah. Do I think Bruno G will start? I personally don't think he will start. Yeah. Captain Igor Thiago, I don't hate it. Like if we got news that Bruno was not playing, I definitely think, Thiago would enter the thought process at some point. A lot of people asking me about Brian Brobby. I personally would not be looking to buy any strikers this week. No strikers for me enter the conversation or thought process or anything like that. I'm personally not looking to go for any forwards. Yeah. Have I read the graphic wrong? I thought his numbers were better on the left. Yeah. I can't remember who posted it, but somebody put it. Yeah. You should join channels with Golden Goal, your fellow cartel member. A lot of us are jumping back and forward. I mean, me and Golden, like, we have our own thing going off, don't we? So that's where we've come together in the cartel is like, that's our thing. But obviously, each people might have preferences on who they watch. But I know a lot of us do, of course, go back and forth and stuff like that. Comment on Ballard. I mean, I've recommended him for a captaincy shout this week on TikTok and on X. So if he does anything in the first game, then yeah. Who knows? Who knows? But all I'm saying is he is the main threat from Sunderland's set piece share. They have created 35.7% of their shot volume from set pieces this year. They're a pretty good side at it. Of course, who is the main threat from corners, free kicks? It's Dan Ballard. It is Dan Ballard. So, you know, West Ham, they've conceded the most corners. They've conceded the most XG to centre-backs. They've also conceded the most goal involvements to centre-backs this season in the Premier League as well. So that is why I suggested Dan Ballard. Look, it's a rogue shout. It is a rogue shout. But if it works, it looks great. Under Moyes last season, his XGI 90 was 0.48. This season, it's 0.39. So bit of a drop off. I can't remember who posted it, but somebody posted a graphic with his XGI numbers on the left, and then when he plays on the left and when he plays on the right, and the left was a lot higher. Maybe I misread the graphic. It was probably late last night when I saw it, but I can't remember who posted it, but someone posted it. Would you start KDH? I personally would not. I think he probably comes off the bench for some just minutes, just to kind of bed him back in. I don't think he starts straight away for me personally. To have 5 Man City players for this week and then get rid of Gordon. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, look, if you've got 5 Man City this week, fair play. Like, if it works out, you're absolutely laughing, aren't you? You're in a real one of kind of probably a million position right there. So hopefully it works, man. Start Rodgers or Calvert-Lewin. I personally would go Calvert-Lewin. Thoughts on Munoz returning to Chelsea? Yes. My model is so hard for Munoz. It is unbelievable. Palace have got some pretty decent fixtures coming up as well. I know at the moment they seem a little bit of a mess. However, there are some better games coming up. So, you know, it could make them, you know, an all right option. But like I said, my model's got a throbbing Robin for Munoz when he is fit and available. Van Heck, Gabriel talk this week. What's your opinion on that? Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's a pretty strong defense, to be honest. Pretty strong defense. Is Haaland actually a set and forget captain, or have I just forgotten how to pick anyone else? Look, I think it's because of his effective ownership that if you're in a decent rank position, he will absolutely decimate you if he breathes, basically. So I think that's why there's been that scarcity factor around him. And he is a player that, of course, can hit double-digit hauls. Like, he's still got the most in the Premier League this season. He's got that ability to go big. So, you know, you look at some of the fixtures over the past few weeks as well. Like, there has been, you know, Haaland has still been the leading candidate for captaincy, hasn't he? No, personally, I would bench Wilson there. I'd play both of those ahead of him. What do you think about my mid, Palmer, Enzo, Bruno, and Di Rice? Pretty decent midfield, to be honest. Yeah, very good. I don't want to captain Gabriel because genuinely hurts as a United fan. Fair, then maybe Thiago is probably the next best shout for you. Chow or Cash? I'd rather play Chow this week. Yeah, man, I'll check it out after today's stream because I still do have another transfer in the bank. We could very easily get rid of Dominic Szoboszlai. We could very easily look to go Sobo to Enzo or Sobo to and Die. It is something that I have thought about, but I'm personally probably just going to leave it this week. Take 2 into next week. See how the land lies, because if Saka's maybe, you know, plays a full 90 midweek or whatever, then he's going to be a player that I want to get out. If Ekatike blanks, he's going to be a player that I want to get out. And what we could do is just dead end that forward spot into Krupi and upgrade then Devaney and have a 5-man midfield and really, you know, just look to go from it there. I mean, I hope today is the day that Ekatike hauls. It's so due, isn't it? It is so due. Obviously, guys, if you're enjoying today's stream, make sure you're hitting that like button. Where are we up to with the likes today? Where we are? 56. Really do appreciate that, guys. Thank you very, very much. Like I said, you make all this worth it. Like, getting up at 6:30, it's all worth it because of you guys. So thank you very much. Really is appreciated. Obviously, team reviews are over in the FPL Cartel Discord. If you want to come and check that out as well, I'll leave a link to that in the chat. That is where all team reviews go for future weeks as well. Why don't I have any Chelsea players? Good question. I am waiting to see number one, what happens with Palmer this week? Because if Palmer goes off, then he definitely obviously enters the thought process. I could go and get Enzo for Szoboszlai this week. I could. But the concern I have is Chelsea have a lot of key games coming up. The second leg of the League Cup, the Champions League midweek. You look at the Premier League games that they've got around that. Like, you very easily could, in theory, see potentially some of these players maybe missing out, maybe being dropped. But yeah, I do think I could end up with Enzo Fernandez next week. Like, he could just be the player that just comes in for Szoboszlai, done. Or we could do it this week. So yeah. Bum, bum, bum. But yeah, like I get it. But I would probably say the only other player that I would be tempted to bring in is Chalobah. Other than that, I don't think I'm looking at anybody else. I think it's Enzo, Chalobah. Palmer's very much on the fray of things. Like I said, because of the big games and them having to use Palmer in the right areas, I do just think, is he still gonna be worth that price tag? I don't know if he is. Ekitike captain. The problem I have with Ekitike is there might be an early substitution in there because of all the players that they've got back. There was one prediction that I saw that had Ekitike benched as well, and some people are suggesting like there's an 80% chance he starts. So I just personally don't believe it is worth risking it. So we're just gonna stick with it like that. If you do want your team rating, mate, the best place to go and do it is in the Discord. I don't have time to read them through the chat, so yeah, Discord's going to be the place if you want your team reviewing. Who do I transfer out between Saka, Cherky, Gordon, and O'Reilly? I personally would be looking at Cherky probably as more a top tier issue to deal with, then probably O'Reilly, Gordon, Saka in that order. Selling Chow to Gabriel or O'Reilly next week. I think there's probably better options to pick. Like Newcastle have got a few difficult games coming up over the next few weeks. Bench Garner or Enzo. I think you bench Garner there. You play Enzo Fernandez. Palace are a shambles. Yeah, they didn't look great, and Glasner was not very happy. However, Sunderland are not a bad side at home. They're still currently unbeaten at home, and we are now entering close to being, well, by the time they play the next home game, going to be the end of January. So to say that for a newly promoted club is a bit wild, isn't it? It is a bit wild. So yeah, obviously they have been smashing it out of the park. So fair play to them. Dubravka over Raya? No, I'd go Raya. Dorgu and Mukulele over Timber and Cunha. I would definitely play Timber, and I probably would play Mook instead. Semenyo captain. Yeah, I think that's a fair shout, though. Play one from Chow, O'Reilly, Mook. I'm playing Foden. Probably, like, if you think O'Reilly's going to play, start him. If not, probably either Mook or Chow are pretty close in my personal opinion. So, yeah. Should I start Bruno G over Cunha? Yeah, I probably would be tempted to do that. If you've got Cunha, like, Cunha can just be first sub, Connie. Hi, Tom. Looking fresh, mate. Appreciate that, bro. Then you asked Dubravka or Verbergen. We looked at the clean sheet odds. There is 1% between them. And I imagine the predicted points, if I went and looked at that, also extremely close. I think Dubravka might potentially get more saves. So I probably would be tempted to go with him. But honestly, it is so tight, that call. It is really worth like a coin flip. It is genuinely like a 50-50 coin flip because, like I said, 1% difference in there in terms of clean sheet numbers for this week. I really do struggle to see, anything like that. Is it crazy to captain Roofs? Yes. For long term with Gabriel, Timber, or Munoz, I think you probably want the double Arsenal defense if they're going to get the double in game week 26. Personally, anyway. Cunha 2 and die for free and bench Chow, or roll, start Chow, 2 transfers. I personally think you could get away with just starting Chow. I think that would be perfectly fine. But I do like the Ndai move. Like, I'm going to say, if you fancy the Ndai move, I get it. But maybe having 2 next week might be more valuable. You'll have a lot more information. If Enzo potentially plays like a full 90 midweek, you might be like, okay, maybe he might be rotated. Palmer maybe goes off. maybe there's another midfielder that enters the scene, or Ndai misses out for whatever reason, then I think, yeah, maybe if you can just play Chow this week, that would be fine. If you want to, obviously go for it, look at other options elsewhere, then yeah, I understand. Gordon, okay to hold another week or bring in Dye in. I think it is. You could get away with keeping Gordon this week. You very easily could get away with it. But if you want to go for Ndai, I don't hate it. Look, I'm a big fan of Ndai. My model absolutely loves Ndai this week, by the way. I've spoke a few times about the model. I can't bring it up because it doesn't quite work on the screen. I don't think. Hang on, let me try and get it up for you. It's in the Discord, right? Yeah, it's in the Discord. So if you come over to the Discord, if you're new to the Discord, there is a bit that is labeled FPL Tom's model. And of course, you can see all this wonderful stuff. Yeah, you can't see anything on this screen because everything's like slightly to the left. It doesn't show anything, so it's just a white screen. Let me see if that view works. Not really. Yeah, none of those views are really working, are they there? So, unfortunately, yeah, like I said, it is one where you've kind of got to see it. It is on my Twitter here. So this is for the next few weeks. If I believe we can see the next 5 game weeks. Yeah, so these are the next 5 game weeks on the model. Obviously, Ndai's not in there, but he is one of the top players over the next few weeks. As you can see, these are the players that my model thinks are going to score the best. Haaland, Bruno, Gabriel, Semenyo. Like I said, if you've got him for now, he's definitely an easy hold. Salah as well. Like if his minutes continue... Well, I've knocked his minutes down in my model, but when I didn't, he was very much up there. I think he was second in this list with Bruno and Gabriel. So... yeah, not a bad option. Chalobah as well. That's why if I'm looking for a defender this week and I've got the money, I probably would look at Chalobah. Enzo is also a pretty decent shout, obviously, after this week as well. Rice. Bowen is one that the model absolutely loves, and that is purely because his points per game this season and last season are still pretty decent. And then obviously Palmer in there as well. I've put a minutes factor on him, so it obviously has dropped him down a little bit. But yeah, if you... yeah, not a bad option. Obviously, there's the other side of this, which doesn't appear on my view for whatever reason. If you want to go and check it out, is the top players for this week. I think it's Haaland, Gabriel, who we got? Haaland, Gabriel, Semenyo, Bowen, Foden, Mark Gahey, and Dye for this week, by the way, is in there with 6 predicted points. Rice, Pickford, Thiago. They're the top players for this week on the model. So yeah, like I said, if you want to come and check that out, X is the place to kind of have, where I'll post the little preview bits. But if you want obviously full access to the model, then over on my Discord will be the place. We need a model that takes into account the FPL Olympian factor. Mate, it's a real thing, and he's going with Haaland, I think. I genuinely think he's going with Haaland, so... that might even be enough just to put me off him going for him. Bowen, my DEFCON beast. Look, he's hit it twice now, has he? Is it twice or 3 times Bowen's hit DEFCON? Like, he's doing that. Fixtures for West Ham as well aren't that bad over the next few weeks. I think that's probably why he's appearing quite highly in it. I'm stuck with City players. Again, what should I do? I don't mind it if you want to keep them for this week. But obviously, they are going to be the priority that you're going to have to move before you look at any other players. How risky is it captaining Ballard? Very risky, but look, if it works, it works. He was just my differential shout for this week of a player that I think could score big. Now, I could be wrong. The Discord isn't called FPL Tom. It is called the FPL Cartel. It is a collaboration between me and Golden Goal Fantasy Football, who is also live right now. Both me and Tom are in there. We're doing team reviews, all that good stuff. Like I said, highly recommend it. Come and check it out. 7 days free trial. Obviously, after that point, you have to pay, but we think it's fair for everything that is in there. The Discord, the games, the chats, the podcast, everything. Start Anderson or VDV? VDV. Hi, Tom. Rogers, Mukalele, Timber, bench 1, have Roos and Gabriel. Probably then, would I go double Sunderland defence? Probably not. So, yeah, probably would go Rogers and Timber. I would personally bench. I personally would bench Munoz. We don't know if he's fully fit and available to play. So, yeah, he probably would be the one. And then I probably would maybe suggest benching your Sunderland defender. Yeah. Will Bruno G play? Eddie Howe was very cautious in the approach he gave to his press conference yesterday. So, I would probably say no, but I never know with Eddie Howe. He's one of those one of those managers that is a little bit difficult to read. Palmer to Bruno and Casemiro to Enzo, or Wirtz to Bruno and Chow to Richards. Palmer to Bruno. I don't understand why you would maybe want to do Palmer to Bruno. Like, if Palmer's fit to play, I don't think he's a player that I would sell personally. Casemiro to Enzo is perfectly fine. And Chow to Richards, I don't hate it, but again, I don't think that needs to be done this week. Triple cap Haaland, he could go crazy. It's a really good fixture, in my opinion. Could outscore double game weeks in one. Personally, I wouldn't do it. Like, we're going to have, maybe a double game week with Arsenal. Gabriel could be a fine triple captain to go for in 26. 33, could be a double for City. 36 could also be a double for City. That is personally for me where I'm going to hedge my bets and go with a double game week player. And again, there's rumors, circulating that he might not play, he might be bench, whatever. There's not enough for me personally to go, I am 100% confident on Haaland this week. I'm going to give him the triple captaincy band. There's just not enough for me personally to back that decision. So I probably wouldn't go for it if it was me. Yeah. That's just how I feel on that one. Just having a scout around on X, see if we can find anything. Let's have a look. Nothing as of yet. Yeah, the Discord chat is great. It is really, really good. Like I said, completely free for 7 days, so come and check it out. That's all we ask people to do is like come and check it out. A lot of people stick around afterwards because they're like, actually, this is really good. So yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's not the same fixture it was 2 months ago. I completely agree with that one. They are the third best defense for big chances conceded over the past 5 game weeks. They're also third for XG conceded over the past 5 game weeks as well. Which matches will I watch this weekend? Good question. The 3 o'clocks, I probably will watch City. I won't probably watch the Liverpool game just because I'll be doing the video for tonight. Sunday, there's a good few games on Sunday, isn't there? Yeah, maybe we've got the televisions in the other room, so all 3 very easily could go on. And then obviously Arsenal United, yeah, that could also be a game that we maybe look to put on. Monday, I won't be in the UK. I'm going to Dublin for my birthday, which is on Tuesday. So yeah, I definitely won't be watching that, especially because I'll only have Pickford. So it's kind of one of those where I'll just check my phone occasionally on the Monday night. But yeah, other than that, yeah, that's it. If anybody has been to Dublin, by the way, let me know any suggestions that you've got. I haven't seen Andy in the chat for a while, and I know he's from Dublin, and I know he would have some great suggestions for me. So yeah, anybody that's been to Dublin, let me know some good places to go. Would I start Dorgu or Cunha? I'd be more tempted to start Dorgu ahead of Cunha. Hi, Tom. I put in Gahey for O'Reilly and Bruno F in for Saka. A bit ballsy, but also thinking about Bruno captain over Haaland. I don't hate it. I think that's all right. Is Gabriel a safe captaincy shout, or should we go with Haaland? I personally would still be sticking with Haaland until we get some team news. So yeah. Bench Elliot Anderson or Mbuemo. I personally would bench Oh, that's a toughie. I think I would be tempted more to bench Mbuemo. I think Anderson is just a steady floor that could outscore it as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Someone said the Guinness tour. Yeah, we've looked at the Guinness tour. I think we're gonna go and do that. I don't drink, but apparently a lot of people have said it's even decent for non-drinkers. So yeah, we'll go and do that. Go to Sandyford, Dublin. I don't know where that is, but I'll give it a Google after this. Get to Dublin, then get the train to Cork. I ain't moving from Dublin. We're staying in Dublin, so yeah. Someone just said Haaland starts. Sauce. Always have to ask for sauce. Always have to ask for sauce. I don't mind. Like, I think Sharda or Thiago could be a differential captain this week, but yeah, I personally still don't think I would go for it. Someone who put Haaland starts with a tick. What is your source? Because all of mine are blank. So yeah. FPL Citizens. Is he reliable though? I swear he's not reliable. Yeah, I think I've seen his before and he's not reliable. Yeah, this is the guy that tweeted last week and wasn't very reliable. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've seen him before and he's not the most reliable source. So yeah. -4 Bruno G to Wilson. No, wouldn't do that. Is it change Bruno to Foden? Yeah, I've personally gone for it. I've done it anyway. I saw last week he got it spot on, but at the same time, everyone in his comments were like, fake, fake, fake. So maybe it's a one-off. Maybe it was just luck, because you can all get like one lineup right once. But I've seen a lot of people saying he was crap like previous weeks and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna necessarily buy into it. Delap or Mane for FPL draft? Probably Mane. Update on Bruno G and Palmer. I still have nothing for Bruno G. We've only got the quote that we got yesterday from Eddie Howe. Palmer, it looks like he could play this weekend, but would I buy him? Probably not. Update on. Oh, we did that one. Start Cunha or Cherky? I probably would go Cherky. Hi Tom, bench one, Chow, O'Reilly, and Anderson, Fulham. Ooh, I probably would bench Anderson if I'm confident on O'Reilly starting. If I've got doubts around O'Reilly, then I probably would go with Chow and Anderson. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah. I genuinely think it is a case of that is, he's got probably maybe a little bit lucky the other day and he's gone for it. Keep Tavernier. It looks like he's done a groin strain, which is minimum 3-4 weeks out. So I probably would suggest maybe looking elsewhere and getting rid. Chalobah, Dorgu, Krupi, Gahey start 2. Gahey and Chalobah, easy. That one. Yeah, no real dramas for that one. That's a pretty easy decision for me. Is Timber a good pick? Yeah, I'd probably say he's up there as one of the most desirable. He's probably in that third spot, realistically. Tied with kind of like Saka and another Arsenal defender, maybe like a Saliba or a Raya. I think because you've got Gabriel is number 1, Rice is number 2 for me. And then you kind of just have the rest. And I think you just pick one of the rest. So yeah, that's kind of how I see the landscape, to be honest. Best midfielder to replace Tavernier with? Depends what your budget is. And die if you can stretch that far up. If not, come down to like an Elliot Anderson, a Xhaka, a Garner, potentially maybe look at a Pascal Gross, Enzo Lafite, also a pretty decent shout. Like there's a few decent ones in there, isn't there? I still would play it safe. I genuinely would still play it safe with Haaland until we get any sort of concrete information that Haaland is 100% going to be benched or whatever. That's personally how I would go for it. I'd personally be tempted to still go Muck. I know Van der Ven could also be very tempting, but I still probably would go with Muck. Is it worth it risking Thiago captain? I think the only time we should start looking at other captains is if we think or we have confirmed decent information that Haaland isn't going to start the game. Other than that, I personally would still probably look to go elsewhere. Right, let's change the poll up a little bit. Let's get it updated. Let's move away from the captaincy one because Haaland is clearly winning that. And I think, look, if he's still, going to be available for the game, he will be the best captain. Let's say, will Foden play? Will Foden play? There we go. Let me know in the chat. Do you think Phil Foden will start today's game? Let me know. Get your votes in, and yeah, we'll see how many people are going for that one. Obviously, we are closing in on 100 likes on today's stream, by the way, as well, guys. There's over 200 of you in the chat. So if you haven't already, make sure you are hitting that like button. It does help support the stream. It pushes it out to more people. And that is exactly, of course, what we are trying to do. We're trying to hit 30K before the end of the season. I think it is a bit of a big ask, but you never know. We might get there. We might get there. Who knows? Who knows, eh? Who knows? Where are we at in terms of subs? Yeah, like we're doing all right today. We should maybe hit 25.7, which is very, very decent going. Like, my goal for this month was to hit 25K on the channel. So yeah, I'm happy where we're at. So even there. Like I said, get your votes in. Do you think Phil Foden will play? Looking at the early results, 66% of you have gone with yes, you do think he is going to play, but let me know in the chat. Will Foden return is also a very, very valid poll. Let me know other polls you want to see today. We can also do one for Haaland. We can also do one for Nico O'Reilly if people want to see that as well. Yeah, we'll give this Foden one. We'll give this Foden one about 10-ish minutes, and then we'll mix it up a little bit. We'll do some other ones as well. I personally would just roll. Yeah, I personally would just roll. Will Foden play? I reckon there's probably maybe like a 60-40% chance he plays. In my personal opinion. Should I do O'Reilly to Chalobah this week? I only have one free transfer and another defender. I don't mind your defense as it already is. I think that's pretty strong to get away with this week. But if you wanted to go for it, look, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If you've got uncertainty around O'Reilly, and look, Chalobah was on there as one of my top players on my own model for the next 5 game weeks, I think it is a very decent shout. Hi, Tom. Cunha to Semenyo. Roll into freeze. We'll do Foden to Bruno next week. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I like that. If you've got the luxurious kind of, transfers banked up, don't hate it. Do not hate it. We are on 98 likes, by the way, for today's stream, guys. So if you are enjoying it, make sure you want to get that in. We've also had a team review sent in by KJ, one of our FPL cartel members. So let's go and check that out and give that a cheeky review for him. Let's head over to the stream. Where's the Discord? Here it is. So by the way, guys, if you do want to, of course, get your team reviewed by me, I'm going to put the link in the chat again for you guys, if I can get it in. Come on. There we go. This is where you can come and get your team reviewed by me. Like I said, come and chat to me and Golden Goal as well. We've had a few sent in. Janice has sent his in. KJ also sent in his or hers in. I think it's a him, but I don't want to assume genders and be wrong on that one. Thank you very much for 100 likes on today's stream as well, guys. Really is appreciated. This is his team. He says, -4 to transfer Bruno G and Foden out if I don't think Foden plays. Who would you go for, right? Because I think you could just do Bruno G to Enzo and you could be completely fine. I don't necessarily think the -4 is really worth it. I think you could very easily do Bruno G to Enzo, or you could do it to what's the other guy we've been speaking about? And Die. And I think you'd be fine with that. I personally don't see the reason to take a -4 there. I think you could just do the Bruno G to Enzo one, flat, boom, done. Risk Foden this week, you'll be fine. I really genuinely do believe that is the play that I would personally go for. I don't think the -4 is going to be worth it, in my opinion. Janice, thank you for sending your team in. 2.1 million in the bank, 1 free transfer. Let's have a look what we've got here. So Ray will play in goal, Gabriel, Tark, Verge as your back three. Fine. Rice, Rogers, Wilson, Sobo, Cherky, Haaland, Ekatike. So 3-5-2. That is fine. I guess it's just, again, a case of, do you believe that Cherky is going to play? If you think Cherky is going to play, fine. Then, that's fine for this week. If you don't believe he's going to play, then I guess the switch to... Would that get you enough for Bruno? No, it wouldn't. It would be nowhere near. So I would probably either do Rogers to Bruno Fernandes, or I personally would do Cherky to Enzo and Die. That's, I think, where my head would be at with this team. Other than that, I don't think there's necessarily anything else that I personally would probably do. You could maybe take a -4 if you wanted to get Bruno in for Rogers. So Bruno in for Rogers, Cherky in for Enzo, whatever. Those could be also the moves. But that is probably how I would line up for this week, mate. There you go. Thank you for everybody that has sent in their teams. Like I said, if you want to go and join the FPL cartel, it is the pinned comment right now. And I put it in the chat a little bit earlier as well. It's also in the description if you want to go and get yourself signed up for the FPL cartel. Lots of amazing stuff going over in there as well. Yeah, Everton have got some all right fixtures coming up over the next few weeks. Gary, if you want your team reviewing, like I said, they are all going to be in the Discord. Yeah. Best option defender this week. I mean, if you haven't already, go and buy Gabriel. Like, he's just the easiest buy, isn't he, really, this week? Chalobah's probably my other favourite buy to go for, potentially, this week as well. Then you've probably got some of the cheaper guys. I think Sunderland for the next two could be pretty decent and rotate nicely with your Newcastle defenders. If you've got, like, a Malik Chow or a Hall, there is a decent rotation there. Haaland or Thiago, I think unless we get a leak saying Haaland isn't going to start, then personally for me, I think we go with it. Yeah, Keane isn't going to be playing. I think, with Branthwaite now back in training, you personally just stay clear of Keane. So it's Tark or Pickford, really. I wildcarded. Okay. I understand it. Like, if your team's in a mess, then yeah. Good game week coming up. Haaland hat-trick incoming. Let's just wait and see. Hopefully nothing for Foden. Maybe a benching. That would be great to see. That would really help me. But we'll see where we're at. Dorgu, Potter, or Chow? Chow. Start Timber or Anderson. I personally would go with Timber. I think Arsenal's clean sheet odds are still ridiculously good for this week, right? Where are they? Arsenal's still at a 37% probability of a clean sheet. Fulham only at 25. So, yeah, I think you still go with Timber for me. My captain is Gabriel. Yeah, if Haaland is getting strong rumours that he's not going to play, then personally for me, I would go with Gabriel. Gabriel's going to be my captain, if not. He's currently averaging the same points per game as Haaland. So, yeah, that's where my head would go with that one. Keep your questions coming in. Anything you do have ahead of the deadline, guys, do let me know. As always, we will be trying to answer as many questions as we possibly can. That is what we're here for, ultimately, isn't it? To help you guys out. As best as we can. Looking at the Foden poll, we've had 126 votes for that. 64% are saying he will play. All right, it's a decent percentage thinking he'll play today. Yeah, I imagine, like I said, I'll be wrapping up about 9 o'clock with my deadline stream, but yeah. Hi, Tom. Have we got any important info yet? Nothing as of yet. Nothing as of yet. But obviously, if we do get anything, I will keep you updated while we are live. Are you planning on bringing Chelsea players? Who are you thinking? I still have one free transfer left, but I think I'm probably going to roll for this week. My ideal players that I'm looking to bring in are probably going to be Enzo, maybe Trevor Chalobah. Outside of that, I'm really not considering anybody else. Like, I know Palmer is an option, but yeah, I'm not feeling Palmer, let's just say. Like, I've got a route to him next week if he really does slap off and we want to go and get him, but yeah, I'm not feeling it. Best Bruno G replacements. I personally would go for either, if I've got the money to stretch up to Bruno Fernandes, he would be a great shout. Rice isn't too far away in terms of if you've got a little bit of money in the bank. I think other options would probably include Enzo Fernandez and Dye. Then you're probably looking at your cheapy boys, aren't you? Like a Pascal Gross, a Xhaka, an Anderson. So yeah, they're probably where I'm at with my picks. Start Chow, Richards, or Rodon. I probably would maybe go with Chow on that one. Yeah, Chow would probably be the one that I would go for. Like, if you watch the Newcastle set pieces, he's always the threat. He's really, really big threat from them, to be honest. Like I said, if you want to get your team rated, it is in the Discord where we do the team ratings. Cherky or Cunha start. I would personally go with Cherky. Like, both are a bit of a minute's risk this week, and I think I would rather take the gamble on Cherky than Cunha, just because of the better fixture. Probably Rodgers. Van de Ven or Collins. I would probably lean slightly more towards Collins, but I think both are. It could be very tight between the two. O'Reilly or Chalobah, who starts. I think, Chalobah, is going to start, so I probably would lean more towards him. Start one of Gahey, Gravenberch, Xhaka, Gahey. Here is the link to the Discord. Yeah, I again, looking at some of the predicted lineups, he's not in them. So yeah, I probably would get rid of him. Keep Foden for Wolves and maybe switch him to Enzo next week. I genuinely think that's a perfectly fine and acceptable thing to do. I really do. Like I said, with Foden, like, I think there is the probable cause to sell him because obviously there's doubts around his minutes. Him obviously being a little bit of a dud as well over the past few weeks. There is probable cause to sell him. However, there is also then that same probable cause to keep him for this week because it is Wolves, because of the projected goal numbers, because of all the predicted point numbers as well for Foden this week, that also goes back the other way. All right, there you go. Boom. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Let's get another poll going. Who should we do next? Bro, I have answered your question. Please do not spam the chat with the same question. So we're ending that one. Phil Foden is apparently 60-40. 60% of you believe that he is going to play. The others don't. Right. Let's do... what should we do? Will Haaland... Oh, balling then. Will Haaland start? There you go, guys. Let me know. Will Haaland start? I believe it was bruising or a strain. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. But basically, Eddie Howe was like, we don't really have an extent on how it's going to work. So, yeah. Is Szoboszlai a good choice? No, I want to get rid of him. I was going to get rid of him this week, but we'll wait and see. With your squad, Tom, if you had 5 free transfers, would you make any transfers or not touch your squad? Personally, I wouldn't want Szoboszlai. If I had 5 free transfers, probably would get rid of Szoboszlai this week. Probably would go to Enzo and Dye would be the ones that I would personally be going for. FPL Morgs in the chat. He says, good morning, Tom. Joined you on the Foden transfer this week. We're both going to be watching from behind the sofa if he starts then, mate. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, go and check out FPL Morgs' channel. There's some great stuff over on there. I love his intros, by the way. They are absolutely class. So highly recommend. going and checking out his channel. Drop him a subscribe. Obviously, comment on his videos. Let you know that FPL Tom sent you. I believe you're going live from about 9 o'clock, mate. Is that right? 9 o'clock? If you are, we'll come over and we'll do a cheeky little raid when we wrap up. But yeah, if you're live at 9, I'll come send people your way. All right? All good stuff. He says, Foden to Bruno and DCL to Evan Nielsen. Evan Nielsen, rogue one, you know. He could have penalties, though. This is the thing. People are all like, oh, it's going to be Kroupy. It's going to be Kroupy. Evan Nielsen, when he came in, took the first penalty he got. So it's kind of one of those, isn't it? If you think he's got pen share, he could be a decent option. Gets plenty of shots off as well. I found that out the other day when I did a cheeky little bet builder. He was great for shots on target. Is Neto good for this Chelsea fixture run? I just think there's too much uncertainty around his minutes where personally for me, I would not personally look to go there. What do you think of Wilson captain if Haaland? Nah, not for me. I have Foden, Cherky, and Bruno G. Who should I be taking out? I think you always look to take the injured players out first for me, but so Bruno G probably would be the one. Bench 1, Hall, VDV, James. Ooh, I think it's probably a toss-up between Hall and James. I probably would go with Hall. And Dye, Semenyo, or Rogers on the wild card. I would go and Dye for me. Yeah. But Semenyo could be a decent short-term punt. Maybe a captaincy pick this week. But yeah, I personally would want and Dye. He's the one I want to go for longer term. My throat is a little bit raspy today. Just a little bit. Yeah, I kind of hope we get a leak that Haaland isn't starting. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it, mate. That's why I'm doing the good deed for the day. If I do my good deed for the day, then we will get it. All right? We will get it. There we go. Do I think Palmer will play? I think he probably will. My only concern is there is a big midweek game for Chelsea, so maybe he might be on the bench for this one, and maybe they just use him midweek in the Champions League, then gets a rest again, then plays the other midweek. That is the concern I've got around Palmer, is there is still something kind of going around in my head. Morning, Tom. Not sure if you have discussed it already, but what are your thoughts on Gabriel captaincy again this week? It paid off last week. Thanks for your advice. No worries, my friend. Again, like I said, if we get news that Haaland isn't going to be, starting for whatever reason, if we get a strong leak of it, then yeah, I'm probably going with Gabriel again. Bench, Rogers, Wilson, or Enzo. Thanks, Tom. I would personally bench. Oh, that's a toughie. Probably Rogers. Yeah, probably Rogers. Like Turkey in midweek on a Tuesday and Thursday. Sorry, is a long way to go. It is a long way to go. I'm using the free hit. What is the best midfield choice for this week? I probably would have like an Enzo in there. I think you probably take a gamble on Semenyo starting. I think you maybe look at like a Salah potentially as well. Who else? Kevin Schade could also be a decent shout. And yeah, maybe like if we know Saka's probably going to play or Rice, they're probably the other ones I would look at. And then Dye could also be a pretty decent shout as well. So yeah. By Enzo or Ndiaye. I do believe it is quite close. I think just given the Chelsea fixtures, Enzo probably edges it. And there's still a little bit of uncertainty around whether or not Ndiaye plays this week. So I probably would go that route. Looking at the poll, 80% of you do believe that Haaland will start today. So there are some people having some doubts around whether or not Haaland starts today, but most still do believe that he will start today's game. And I think he probably will. But, of course, we'll wait and see when we get there. We'll wait and see. Thank you for over 100 likes already on today's stream. By the way, guys, if you do enjoy the content, like I said, make sure you are hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting subscribe as well. Obviously, we're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers before the end of the season, and it is only possible with your amazing support. I always say that in every single one of my videos because it is. You guys make this happen. So thank you very much. Really do appreciate everybody's support on the channel. A super chat from Ben. Thank you very much. He says, why not drop Ekatike for Sunderland's Brobby? Everybody is speaking about Brobby. I'm leaving Ekatike for this week. If I'm going to replace him, it would be for Krupi because the Bournemouth fixtures really do open up. So Ekatike is going to stay for this week. If he's dud in again or gets an early substitution or whatever, then the move for next week is Krupi because after that week the fixtures really do open up themselves for Bournemouth. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see this? Yeah, you can see the Wolves game. After that, they've got Villa, Everton, West Ham, Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley, and United. Like, it's a decent run of games where I've got an option to play potentially who could be on penalties. So for 4.6 million, he far outweighs Robbie, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. Let's have a look what he's been doing in recent weeks. Minutes have been decent. Like, yeah, the minutes have been all right, haven't they? A few 9-pointers in there, not bad. What's his XGI, like, non-penalty? Like, 1.9 isn't great. 0.24 XGI per 90 is pretty poor, though, for a striker. Some okay fixtures planted in there, though. West Ham, Burnley, Fulham, Bournemouth, Leeds, Brighton. Yeah, there's not bad games in there, but I'm personally thinking for a 0.9 million saving, Krupi looks the better option. That's just my opinion anyway. That is just my opinion on things. So, yeah. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to know before the deadline, do let me know. Obviously, any team leaks, I will try and keep you abreast of. Is Xhaka a good choice over Bruno or Schade? I mean, I probably would pick Xhaka ahead of Schade longer term just because, he has set piece share, can hit defensive contributions. So, yeah. What was your Fantasy Football Hub AI transfer suggestion for this week? I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. I think it was maybe to take Szoboszlai out. I think that was the one. Yeah, I think that was the one it had for me. Who would you bench, Cherky or Krupi? Krupi. Yeah, bench Krupi. Easy. Like, if Cherky's got any sort of chance of playing, then I'd rather have him against Wolves than Krupi against Liverpool. Thoughts on Rodgers to Semenyo for a -4? Not personally for me, unless I was going to captain Semenyo. Is Foden to Bruno and Saka to Rice worth it? I think you could maybe just hold off 1 week and do it. But if you really, really want to go for it, you've got obviously a conviction that you think Foden could be benched, then I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Captain Thiago, I think, could also be a pretty decent shout as well if we get news on Haaland. But up until that point, I think Haaland is just the route you go for, really. Should I start Chow, Bruno Fernandes, or Guimaraes? I think you bench Guimaraes, you play Chow and Bruno. Done. Boom. Easy, 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 easy. Easy. Oh, that was the plan to captain Semenyo. If that's what you're thinking, then yeah, maybe the -4 could pay off, but you really do need him to go big, don't you? Yeah, it is a very valid thing. I saw that Raptor said that, and that does make sense. Like, but at the same time, if he does think Haaland is the problem or the issue with the squad right now, then that's fine. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing against him doing that, so I don't hate it. Start Rodgers or Anderson. I'm guessing that's Elliot. I personally would probably maybe go Elliot. Better floor for this week, right? Better floor for this week. That's personally where I would go with that one. Looking at the poll, 79% of you do believe that Haaland is going to start this week. So let's get another poll going. We'll do Nico O'Reilly because I think he could be a very contentious one that, people are a little bit uncertain of this week. So let's do a O'Reilly. Let's have a look here. What we got? Nico O'Reilly. There we go. Let me put that in the chat. There we go. Will O'Reilly start? Let me know in the chat. Do you believe Nico O'Reilly will start today? I'm interested to see where people go with this one. Any thoughts on Gallagher? Love the channel, bud. I haven't seen anything yet to suggest that he's going to be a good player to pick up. I know, obviously, when he was last in the Premier League, and especially with Palace, he was a great cheap option. I just think at the moment in the game, we're so blessed with so many good cheap options that I personally don't think we need to look there unless there is, kind of data, DEFCON, everything kind of pushing that he's going to be a great pick. But the Palace fixtures do really open themselves up after this Chelsea game. So maybe. But right now, personally for me, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going to go for it. Looking early at the poll here, a lot are going no. A lot are going no for O'Reilly, they believe, to start. So maybe if that is something that you are contemplating this week, maybe potentially a benching decision. I know a few people have asked me some questions about O'Reilly. If you do believe it is a no, then yeah, probably go with it. I would say there's probably about a 70% chance he starts. But Pep might want him for the Champions League game, could very easily play 8 Nuri there. Wouldn't surprise me if that happened. By Caicedo or Anderson, for me, it probably Anderson. If he's got any sort of potential penalty appeal, that could be great. He's also got set piece share, something that Caicedo doesn't have. So yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Guys, if you want your team rating, this is the place to do it. It is in the FPL Cartel. My Discord server, if you want to go and get your team rated, that is the place to go and do it. Otherwise, this chat is just for, I just put O'Reilly because I just commented it. Oh, what a tit. What a tit. Anyway, the pinned comment is the place to do it. Obviously, if you're enjoying today's stream as well, make sure you're hitting that like button. Let's see if we could get today's stream up to 150 likes. It would be massively appreciated if we could. Bench 1, Wilson, Rogers, Enzo. Probably would be tempted to bench Rogers. I personally would go with Mook there. Yeah, he would be the one that I would go for there. Best goalkeeper pair on a wild card. I really like Pickford is just a very easy set and forget. He genuinely is just a very easy set and forget. So him and Dubravka, if you want to go with Raya, it's also very easy then to stash him potentially for the blanking game, because you've got to think as well, you've got to navigate that blank a little bit. So he could be a very easily player that you could just get away with benching. You've got Dubravka, he can just come in and play the game in game week 31. So I don't mind Raya. There's a potential of a double in 26 as well. I know some people are put off by it. My other options are probably going to be, look at a Verbergen, look at a Kelleher. Sanchez is a fantastic shout as well. Really, really like him. Pickford and Sanchez are actually, interestingly, the top 2 predicted points goalkeepers on my own personal model. So yeah, they're probably where I would go with that one. Start Bruno F. Transfer in for Cunha. I think you could get away with the role. If you really want Bruno this week, I would make the move because Cunha is a little bit of a dead spot anyway. So I think you could make the move. Or you could just go for it. But the role, I think, is probably maybe the more sensible suggestion. Mateus Nunes poll. There is no need for a Mateus Nunes poll because Pep has said he's got a virus. He's probably not going to play the game. So Nunes poll, non-existent, isn't needed. Doesn't need to happen. Best replacement for Sharda for a free hit team. I think Sharda's a great pick for the free hit this week. I would be quite happy to have Sharda on a free hit this week against Forest. My other question is, why are people playing a free hit this week? We've got blanks and doubles to navigate further down the line. Save it. Save it. Do not go for it. You okay over there? Good. Foden or Cherky? I think probably Foden's more likely to start than Cherky this week. Yeah. I think so anyway. Where are we at with the poll numbers then for this? Will O'Reilly start? 63% of you do believe no. So yeah. Do you think Newcastle will keep a clean sheet? They've got a great home record over the past few seasons. They are a very good home side. They're one of the best home sides. So yeah, I could see it. I could see it happening. What do I think of Garner? Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, He hits defensive contributions. The only problem I do have is he might lose some of his set piece share now that Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is back within the mix. That is the only thing that could potentially, happen over the next few weeks. Pope or Dubravka, close one. I think I'd probably go Pope. Yeah, Pope for me on that one. What's the clean sheet numbers for Newcastle this week? Where are they at? Newcastle. 28. Dubravka's at 23. I think that's a big enough stretch for me personally to go with Nick Pope on that one. Yeah. Will Goodmanson start? Oh my god, I can't remember the Goodmanson update. It's gonna bug me what that was. We did get an update on Goodmanson. Let me have a look for you, my friend. Let's have a look. But yeah, we did get one. So let's go and quickly take a look. We've had a super chat as well while I'm obviously looking for this. Raya, Gabriel, Lemons, and Dalot. Who to play, who to bench? I think you play your Arsenal boys. Easy. Play Raya, play Gabriel. Done. Boom. Right. What was I looking for? I was looking for Leeds team news. Where's the Leeds one? I remember hearing something about Goodmanson yesterday. It was on the top of my brain. Was it the day before Leeds had theirs? Burnley. Where's Daniel Fark? Mistraining and a doubt for Monday. There you go. That's the update we got on Goodmanson. Mistraining and a doubt for Monday. So yeah, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Thoughts on Ahmad? Nah, not for me. Not for me personally, mate. Start Allison or Sanchez? Personally, probably go. Who's got the better clean sheet numbers this week? Where are Liverpool at? So Liverpool are at 27. Where is Chelsea? 29. I probably then would go with Sanchez. Again, just that little clean sheet percentage is probably enough for me. Yeah, his points per game aren't too bad. They're not too bad. So yeah, he could be a decent option after that. Really could. Start 2 out of Sharda, Enzo, and Dai Lafi Garner from free transfers. I would personally go Sharda, Enzo. Oh my days, start 2. Only 2. They're all good options. If I was to transfer in though too, I think it would be Enzo and Dai probably would take the one, to be honest, to go for. Wilson, Rogers, Enzo, bench 1, Rogers. Wilson or Sharda for a free hit team. I would probably be more tempted with Sharda. Yeah, I'd be more tempted with Sharda. Looking at the poll, 60% of you do believe that O'Reilly will not start today. Very big. Very big. We'll get Cherky ready to go next. See where you guys think Cherky's at for this week. Went early on Palmer. Do you think he will start? This is the thing with Palmer. I think he could start the Premier League because, of course, he missed the game midweek. However, the problem I've got with Palmer is Chelsea have got big midweek games coming up. They need to realistically win their next Champions League game to put themselves in a position to qualify for the next 8 and obviously miss out on 2 extra fixtures. Then obviously the following midweek is the Carabao Cup semi-finals where they need to go and get a result if they want to progress to the final. So if I'm the manager, I'm looking at the next 2 midweeks and I'm going, they're pretty big. Palace look a little bit shambolic at the moment, so I don't, they could easily get past that one. And then is the following fixture West Ham? Like, they're games where you could go, well, Palmer could probably miss those 2 out, and we could just have him for the 2 bigger games that are bigger for our season, progression in the Champions League and getting the final of a Carabao Cup is probably more important than the next 2 Premier League games, in my opinion. It just is. Yeah. Rogers to Alderente. Rogers, sorry, or Alderente. That is a toughie. I would like. This is the thing. I would be more tempted to start Alderente ahead of Rogers. I would. But if you disagree with me, that is fine. Go with your own gut instinct and whatever your gut is telling you to do. That's how I would always see things. Any questions you do have, guys, do get them in. Obviously, we'll be live till around about 9 o'clock. Then we'll let the big boys go and do their thing as always. But yeah, it's been a very good stream. I've enjoyed it. It's been good fun this morning. Lots of questions, lots of different questions. I think that's when it always is the best, like, deadline streams, is when you've got lots to debate, lots going off. Thiago, not a captaincy, not yet. Like I said, unless we get anything on Haaland, I'm personally just going to be sticking with Haaland. If it obviously we get news that Haaland isn't going to be playing, then I'll make the switch to Gabriel for captain this week. I think Gahey's probably got a bigger probability of starting ahead of Foden. Like I really would put Gahey in my lineup if I've got him this week. Yeah, he's got to go in. He's got to go in. If you've got Gahey this week, you've got to be playing him. I'm very confident that he starts. You know, the clean sheet probabilities, if we go back to the Rob T numbers here, they are great. 43% probability of a clean sheet. They absolutely blow everybody out the water, bar probably Arsenal this week. So yeah, I think I would go for it. Remove 2, Grealish, Watermarder, Gordon, Delo. I think you target your injured players first, so I probably would go with Grealish out, and then Watermarder probably is another one that I would want to get rid of this week. Gordon probably the week after, but yeah, I mean, it depends what you want to do. Like, if you get Grealish, probably going to Enzo, right? Or Ndai. Gordon, I think you either switch to Rice. If you've got the money to stretch up to Bruno, that might be the option, but that might require you to potentially get rid of Walter. So you could just make the one move this week and then potentially go for it. Haaland benched at Manchester City official. Then that doesn't sound that official. Nothing from any of like the reliable sources that I follow yet. Yeah, no, I've not seen anything like reliable enough to probably go for it. But obviously, we'll try and keep you guys abreast of the situation. But for me, I haven't seen anything from like a concrete, I would say, reliable source. So I'm not personally going to go for it. Right. Will O'Reilly start? We're going to end that poll. 62% of you believe he will not start today, or 61%. The poll updated right at the last second. What a tease. What a tease, eh? Right, next player, will Cherky start? Let's have a look. Will Cherky start? There you go. Will Cherky start? Let me know. Let me know. Will Gakpo start? I think Gakpo is so risky, isn't it? It is so risky. He could very easily start, but I am a little bit concerned about him. But he is Slot's favourite guy, isn't he? Like, he absolutely loves him to death. So it wouldn't shock me if he did start. If you're enjoying today's stream, guys, let's see if we can get up to 150 likes. We're at 136 at the moment. Would be absolutely insane if we got up to 150. So do keep those likes, of course, coming in as always. Anderson, Van Dijk, Alderente start 2. I personally would go with Alderente and Van Dijk. Those would be the two that I would go for there, mate. Yeah, those would be the two that I would go for. Very strong no on the poll for Cherky, by the way. Yeah, very strong no on the poll. As a long-term keep, who would be better, Rice and Gahey versus Timber and Ndai? I mean, Gahey's probably going to play very good minutes, isn't he, because of City's defensive injury. So Rice and Gahey for me. Like, Timber is my third or fourth Arsenal probably spot. And Ndai could be a good option, but I think he could also be, you know, a little bit fragile. I personally would go for Frimpong ahead of Rodgers. Cherky and Bruno G out. Best replacements: Enzo and Dye, Rice, Bruno Fernandes. If you wanted someone cheaper, Pascal Gross, Xhaka, Gardner. Yeah. Anybody miss there? Elliot Anderson as well. Should I buy Frimpong? He has looked very good. However, the Liverpool fixtures for the next few are a little bit more difficult. So I'm probably going to say no. And I feel there are probably more, if Arsenal get that double, a lot of our money is going to be spent on Arsenal, probably double defense for most people. So yeah, I don't think I would personally go for it. Captain in Tarkowski. I do think a lot of us will start to flip to more defensive picks over the next few weeks. Yeah, if you've ever played Swedish football fantasy, which has kind of a similar-ish version of DEFCON, a little bit more of a lower threshold, but every week you just captain a defender. You don't look at attackers. You just captain defenders who hit those metrics. What are my moves this game week? I made one move last night. I took out Phil Foden and I brought in Bruno Fernandes. The reason that I did it is I just didn't want the headache, to be honest, today. I didn't want to be thinking, is Foden going to play? Is Foden going to play? He's been really poor in recent weeks. Wolves have been a side that have just improved. Over the past 5 game weeks, they are third for XG conceded. They're also third for... what's it called as well? They're also third for big chances conceded, like best big chances conceded, so not conceding hardly any at the moment. And Bruno Fernandes is a player I want longer term anyway. I feel like everybody needs to have him by game week 24. Like, he is going to be the top transfer target, in my opinion, for this upcoming game week. Despite whatever he does against Arsenal, he still should be the player that everybody should be looking to go for this week. How comes Bowen is getting points as a DEFCON points as a forward? Because he doesn't actually play as a forward. He's playing as a midfielder. So naturally you will get more opportunities to hit them. We see that with a lot of midfielders. They hit the defensive contributions. So Bowen actually isn't playing as a forward. So yeah, there you go. That will be why. Neto is not nailed to start every single week. So yeah, wouldn't go near him. Start DCL or Rodgers. I wouldn't want to bench the penalty taker. So I'd go with DCL up against his old club as well. That feels pretty decent to me. Up against his old club, he could do some. He could do some damage, couldn't he? He could do some damage. I'd still would play Raya. Do I like Michael Jackson? Yeah, he does some good tunes, doesn't he? Old Mike on the mic. Did you like that one? There we go. Best replacement for Tavernier. It's probably a cheapie then, so maybe like an Anderson, and then Dye if you've got the money to stretch up for it. And then yeah, your usual DEFCON beast that we've said a few times. Is a second Manchester United attacker a must? I don't think it's a must. I think the only other one I probably would consider would be maybe Brian Mbeumo if he keeps playing as the number 9. Like if he starts against Arsenal, number 9 has a decent game, then yeah, he probably will be the next one I would consider. Bench boost, Verbergen, Van de Ven, Alderente, Mane. I personally would not be looking to bench boost. We're going to get double game weeks. Those are going to be the weeks where you want to play your bench boost. We're going to have 26 as a potential double, 33 and 36 as all potential doubles. So, you've got opportunities there to either use the bench boost in one of them or a triple captain or a free hit. And I think the free hit is more useful in the blank in 34. So, yeah, that's where I'd go for it. Do you like the song Smooth Criminal? It's an all right song, yes. There was, I can't remember if it was called I think the band's called Alien Ants. That was on the Guitar Hero on the DS, if anybody had it. Bit of ball knowledge for you. Richards or Dorgu to start? I think I would be more tempted to potentially go with Dorgu. Like Richards' floor is definitely higher. But if Dorgu is going to be playing as a winger, there is that possibility for a huge mega haul. And I wouldn't be expecting anything out of Richards this week. So, yeah, you know what? Go Dorgu. I'd take the gamble. Take the gamble on Dorgu. Go with him. And thank you very much for the donation. Like I said, Richards better floor. Dorgu better ceiling. And I think with both of them not having like great fixtures this week, I would rather maybe take the player with the better ceiling. Like Dorgu could just score a random goal because he's playing further forward. So yeah, That's personally how I would look to go for it. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, let me know. What do you think? Will Foden start? Just join the stream now. I think there is probably a 70% chance Foden starts today. Yeah. If you hadn't made the Foden to Bruno transfer last night, would you be doing it this morning? Couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford it if I did it this morning. But yeah, still probably would. I think I purely just did it because I had to do it. Like the timing, I had to go and make the move. But I understand if people don't want to, of course, go for it. Like it makes sense. It does make sense if you don't want to go for it. But I get it. I do get it. High percentage do believe that Cherky isn't going to be starting this week, and that makes sense to me. That does make sense to me. I get that one. Why am I starting Anderson over Dorgu? Purely for Defcon and clean sheet. That's it. Dorgu, yeah, is playing as a winger, but like Anderson, Chow, Gabriel, yeah, that for me has been my back three all week, and I'm sticking with it. I'm stressing over Haaland or Palmer captain. Just wait and see, and if we get a leak about if we get a leak by it. Yeah, I know the song you were talking about. I'm just saying there's a cover by Alien Ant Farm or whatever that used to play on Guitar Hero. That's it. There is a cover of that song. So yeah, it's an alright song. Hey Tom, bench Palmer or Bruno? Neither. Bruno F is the most transferred in player. Do you think the most transferred in player curse will work? Potentially, but it is Bruno. His points per game are just so good, and he is a player that I think longer term everybody should have in their team. Do you go for double Arsenal defense? Yeah, I'd feel pretty comfortable about. Even if I brought in Bruno this week, I'd still feel pretty comfortable about playing my double Arsenal defense. And I'd also still like people playing against each other doesn't really impact my decision making. Like I just see it as they're all individuals. You know what I mean? Like I don't think like that because I think that can lead to potentially, some silly decisions or benching certain players when they're actually, really decent. Should I start Calvert-Lewin or Ekitike? I'd try and start both. Palmer or Mbuemo on a wild card? Maybe Palmer, but I think Mbuemo could also be a pretty decent shout. I think I included him on one of my wild card drafts, but the only problem is if you're going with like double Arsenal defense, you are then playing two United attackers. And I know I just said I don't really care about it, but it still does seem a bit strange and could lead to some odd points this week, right? It could. Saka to Fernandes or keep Saka. I personally would just keep Saka this week. And then, yeah, look to maybe make that move either next week if we see Saka play a full 90 midweek, or, of course, you can make that move anyway and readjust some funds and all that good stuff anyway. Obviously, we're going to be live for another 10 or so minutes. Then we'll let all the big boys go and do their thing. The Harrys, the Ross, the Raptors. You know the drill by now. We're also going to give Morgs a cheeky raid after this. So, yeah, I'll put his stream in the chat and we'll go and give him a cheeky raid. All right, guys. Start to bench Gahey, Alderente, Van Dijk, Anderson. I would go with Gahey and Van Dijk. Yeah, go Gahey and Van Dijk. Andy in the chat. Hope you're doing good, my man. I was speaking about you a bit earlier. I hope I'm right in saying this. You're always the one to me, like banging on about coming to Dublin, right? If I'm wrong, let me know. But if I'm right, let me know. Hi, mate. Would you start Pickford or I'd start Pickford? Easy. He could, but he's also a bit of a clown, isn't he? He is a bit of a clown. Just who he is. Hi, Tom. Would you bench Bruno G, Chow, or Alderente? I'd bench Bruno G. Yeah, I'd bench Bruno G this week. For me personally, anyway. Do keep your questions coming in. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, do let me know. We have hit over 150 likes on today's stream, so thank you very much, guys. Really, really is appreciated. Enzo or Neto or Garnacho? Enzo is clear of all of them. Easy done. How about Semenyo? Yeah, Semenyo is a good next 2 week pick for me personally. Yeah. Yes, you're very welcome. Cool. I'm glad it was you who's been suggesting it. I will be there on Monday. So there we go. Little birthday getaway. Keep Foden or sell to Bruno Fernandes. I've sold him, and look, I understand if people want to sell Foden this week. The performances haven't been there. Wolves have been improved over the past few weeks. There's still murmurs going around about potential benchings and stuff like that. I get it. I do get it. But I still think you could maybe keep him this week. Like there's justification for selling him, and there's justification for keeping him. It just depends where your risk tolerance is and stuff like that. Looking at that poll, so Cherky, 66% of you believe he will not play today. So yeah, there we go. Right, let's do the final one then. Let's do best cap for best cap outside of Haaland. So we've got Gabriel. We have got Thiago. And Semenyo are my free picks. Semenyo, I think that's how you spell it. And then we're going to just put other. Right, there you go. Gabe Bolt votes in for that one. No, on Monday, mate. On Monday to Wednesday. Tom, I'm a higher rank than you. Well done. Wow, well done. Would you like a medal? Probably higher than a lot of content creators now. Do FPL creators still serve a purpose if you are a higher rank than them? Yes, we do. I mean, we're here for entertainment value, aren't we, really? Like, I answer people's questions and try and help them with their team, but ultimately, you watch this for entertainment and information. That's what my purpose is to serve. But, yeah, if you want to pat yourself on the back, well done, mate. You're above me. I bet you sleep well at night. Collins or Tarkowski for this week? Talk. Yeah, talk. Bench either Enzo, Garner, Wilson, or Ekatike. For me, it probably is between Garner or Wilson. I would probably go either, Wilson or Garner was where I would narrow it down to. -4 hit for and die, not worth it. When is it worth taking a point hit? If you've got a load of injured players and it resets the team or gets your team structure into the right place where you want it to be for the next few weeks, yeah, I personally would look elsewhere. I'm here for the dancing. Yeah, we've not done any dancing in a while. I was playing some Just Dance yesterday, busting out some top moves. So, maybe if we have a decent stream at some point this season, it's been a while since we've had like a really, really good, like well-hitting stream and stuff. But yeah, if we get like a really good one at some point the rest of the season, or we hit 30k on stream, we'll get some boogieing going. Haaland or Semenyo cap. I think if Haaland is playing, you go with him. If not, then you look at Semenyo. Stock Calvert-Lewin or Rodgers, I would go with Calvert-Lewin. Never bench a penalty taker. I always try and avoid doing that. Bench Bruno G, start Frimpong, playing a 4-4-2. Yep, makes sense. Hi, Tom. Have the exact money to go Foden to Palmer. Thoughts? Already have Bruno Rice. I personally would leave it. I don't necessarily think I would go to Palmer this week if I was going to make that move. So, yeah, I would personally not go for that. Yeah. Would you go Palmer on a wild card next week? If I'm on a wild card next week, then yeah. Yeah, sure, mate. No problem. Is Alderente over Timber good? No, I personally would play Timber over Alderente. Oh. Should there be a leak? I imagine we'll get some sort of leak. There's so many people wanting the information that the people that can get the leaks can probably sell the information. I think someone on X was trying to sell him like 100 quid per player, like lineup leak. Would you start Watkins or Bowen? I'd actually prefer to start Bowen this week ahead of Watkins if I had the two. Is it wise to roll free transfer and trust my 4 Manchester City players? I think that's fine. Like, look, it's fine. Like, if they all play, great, happy days. If not, could be dicey. But if you've got 4 and you want to trust them, trust them. Palmer playing. I think he will. I think he will after the rest in midweek. But still, there's still that doubt in my mind that the two next midweek games are massive. If I had to pick right now, I would rather have Xhaka. At least Xhaka hits DEFCON. Like, Sobo does nothing. Yeah. How long is Bruno out for? We didn't get a time frame from Eddie Howe. We got nothing from Eddie Howe, so it's quite hard to really say. Hi, can you help me pick 2 from Frimpong, O'Reilly, and Enzo? Frimpong and Enzo. Don't worry about O'Reilly being then maybe benched as well. Chow, Timber, or Alderente start 1. Probably would go Timber. Yeah, best clean sheet odds out of all of those. That's where my mind would go personally. Bench 1 between Rodgers and Lafie, or take Rodgers out for Enzo. I think taking Rodgers out for Enzo could be a decent one to go for. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, I personally would leave all of them. I personally would genuinely leave all of them for me anyway. That's what I would do anyway. I personally would. Best Bruno Guimaraes replacements: Rice, Bruno Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez, and Dye. Maybe Pascal Gross, Xhaka, Gardner. They're going to be the ones. Right, guys, it is 9 o'clock. We are going to leave things there. Obviously, a lot of the big boys are going live. I've just seen Harry's going live already. I'm going to post a link to a stream that I would highly recommend you go and check out today. It is going to be from a good fellow content creator who obviously needs some support and has decent content. It is going to be FPL Morgs. I am currently in his chat, so if you want to come over to his chat already, come and chat with me and him. I'm just going to quickly put FPL Tom Raid in his chat, and if you want to do the exact same, I highly recommend coming and doing it. So, yeah, he's on 1.21k subs. Let's go and give him some love. Let's go and give him some support. Like I said, this is where I'll be for the next 10 or so minutes. So if you want to come and speak to me and Morgs and stuff, that is where I will be. So come and check it out and just put in the chat FPL Tom Raid. All right, guys. Sweet. Cool. We are going to leave things there then. Thank you very much for everybody that has come out today. Really do appreciate it. Obviously, the best of luck this game week. And yeah, hopefully we get some early team news. If I see anything, I will be posting it over in the Discord, or of course, we'll be posting it wherever. All right. Sweet. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Best of luck this game week, like I said. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.